There we are. Back again. Hi there. Miss me? Wait, what? GeForce Experience? No, I don't want to turn on desktop capture. Blah. We have been very slowly regaining some electricity here. Because the problem is, of course, we were still transmitting. I'm realizing, let's turn that off. Does that make much difference? 1.04. It makes hardly any difference. Oh, we did leave the lights on. That was maybe not that clever. It's okay though. We'll see where we can go. So, glad that you're joining me again on this trip. This should be the last marker we get. Thanks to Dodger, you have the main title theme of Dream Daddy in your head. She has been going nuts on that. That game is totally her wheelhouse. Tracy is also a bit of a fan of Dream Daddy, from what I understand, because it's produced and voiced by the Game Grumps. Ah, that's not the main reason. It's also just full of good jokes, but darn it. We may have to leave this thing here while it regenerates. See if there's any real difference here. This is interesting. If I roll backwards, it takes an hour and 18 minutes of rolling backwards at this speed to reach that spot? There we go. 0.26 increase if I don't transmit. That's what I should have done just now. Instead of being incompetent. Oh, let's see what this message is. Is this an important message? It is not an important message. We're good. How about we speed up a little bit? We have the time. So let's just wait until this thing is recharged. There we go. And now, without any other issue, we move forward. So, our next missions, if you recall, involve putting satellites in orbit of the Mun. Those are fairly easy. We can do those launches and set up the maneuver nodes, and you know what? We can probably even do those at the same time, pretty much. That's going to be mainly for cash, while we also wait for this thing later on to transmit its beautiful, beautiful scientific data. And by that time, the Minimus satellite might be in range. Oh. It's weird that it stopped there. I don't think the Kerbal satellite will have... Maybe the Kerbal satellite will have analyzed enough, but I don't... Actually, no, I don't think so. We checked after we sent this thing to the Mun. So that also will take a little bit more of waiting time. We might be able to send a lander to the Mun with a Kerbal, but I think it's still too risky. I want those other capsules. We could send... One thing we still need to do is finish the mission to send something to the Mun and return it from a flyby. That is something maybe that we can think of doing. We can try and time out how long it takes to get to the Mun with a satellite and see if we can give a Kerbal enough resources to do a flyby. That might be a good next step. Actually, I think that would be a great next step. It makes perfect sense. We just have a Kerbal in a small flight. He can do a little EVA. He can do a spacewalk near the Mun and get some good XP. That'd be Jebediah, of course. Oh god, see what I mean? I don't know, Huthor, if you know what this is, but this is where I think the two bits of textures, two polygons of the Mun intersect. You see that line? And just now, we were just cruising at a low speed, and we bumped on it. Now, normally, if you drive over it, See? Boom. Little weird bump. Because we were going slowly, we didn't launch ourselves and destroy the rover or flip it over. Had we gone faster, had we gone at 10, 15 meters per second, which is probably what you would get if you would align these wheels straight down and in one line, we would have probably flipped at this point. If we've gone with the big wheels and gone 30 meters per second, with this design, we would have absolutely flipped up. And 30 meters per second from a jump in the air and landing is enough to destroy a rover. So that was more, 30 meters per second was only feasible if we had a larger rover with a stronger body and more well-distributed weight. Wow, look at that distortion, that FOV distortion there. Beautiful thing though. Don't exactly know what that is. Is there no way to mouse over? But that'll be another planet. Oh, we're almost there. Ah, we need to collect science. So, let's collect all the science that we already have. Oh wait, we're in the Midlands. We're in the Midlands. This is new science. The Mun appears to be geologically dead. All you can detect are slight tremors generated by meteorite impacts. New science. Very faint magnetic field as usual. Radiation data we already did. Temperature. Surface seems to reflect much of the sun's heat. As a result, it's slightly cooler here. Pressure gauge is sitting there motionless. Perhaps you should tap it a few times, just to be sure. Let us transmit all the science! So excellent, not only did we do our contract and got 20,000, we also got science from a new biome. I call that a win. I love it. We are free to go back to the Space Center. So we have 70 science right now. We need 160 to get these. But we also need to upgrade our science facility to be able to get that command module. There we go, just removing the tea bag from the tea. So we need to spend 400,000 to get that science level to 500 and Kerbal EVAs for surface sample. Very crucial. But now let's buy this right away. We have enough money, we can afford it, we can buy more things, and we have Kerbal EVAs. Kerbal could already EVA and place flags, but now we can also get the surface sample. So we still have the 2 satellites. We have the satellite here for the Mun. We can, oh yeah, we can save a Kerbal. We have another satellite, 32-degree inclination, 14 inclination. So 2 different satellites that both want the same data. So we could probably do that in one go. And we need to return to Kerbin from a flyby of the Mun. So here's my plan. We can do the satellite missions. We can do the one rocket, I think, with both satellites that get the science that we need. And maybe let's do it all in one. Let's make that a manned mission where Jebediah deploys these satellites, does a flyby of the Mun, and returns to get some science. That should get us piles of science. That completes this contract. Well, these 2 won't be completed, because that's going to last for 60 days, and that one's going to last for 88 days. But we need to figure out how to get Kerbal Kerman out of the atmosphere first, I think. What we'd ideally need is a hitchhiker storage container. That'd be easiest. But since we don't have that, what we're going to do is we're going to make a probe with a command module below. Or a salamander command pod. How large is that? That is far bigger than anything we had so far. Here's a problem. We don't have any things the size of this to get that home safely. Do we even have a heat shield? Do we have a heat shield that could withstand this? But this looks just a little bit like overkill. I do think I have a parachute that can fit this. Wow, really? Is it that tiny a parachute? Oh, there we go. It already uses this as some kind of coupling decoupling system. This is odd. So it's not... This thing doesn't seem designed to be used in this way. Has a high autopilot though, a level 2 SAS autopilot. Compare that to the standard control pod, the command pod. Autopilot SAS does not even have it. How about the lander can? Habitat, reaction wheels, standard quality. It doesn't particularly have any extra SAS. That's tricky. Okay, so this one's a little bit big for now. Well, here's my plan. We have a probe core. We are going to put a command pod. No. How about on top of that probe core, we put a stack decoupler, and we get that thing on there, and on the top we put a parachute with some drogue chutes. It doesn't really need the drogue chutes. The parachute alone is enough to slow down adequately, but we'll be fine. Now, let's get our Delta V map up. And again, I'm using this. I'll post it in. Let's do it for science. Never realized this is literal in Kerbal? Absolutely. You don't need those shoots, Madrugs. Yeah, the drogue shoots aren't really... Well, it depends actually, Vampiric. Normally, you don't. But I have all the G-forces enabled. If we slow down too swiftly, we can actually knock out Kerbals. So I linked that thing that we use. So let's get this to a low orbit. Yeah, that's just a 4000 that we need. So yeah, in this playthrough, the difficulty settings may require some slowing down of the pod. It's not going to be likely, but I prefer to err on the safe side here. Now, let's see. Let's make this look nice. Just want to make sure that... There we go. That is 2,800. That will get us all the Delta V that we need in space. But... we're going to be offsetting this because... Oh, I'm getting these weird little lags in Kerbal. We do want to be able to RCS in required places. Where is our center of mass? It's not going to be very good rotation unless we put it somewhere there, maybe. big fan. Maybe if we put it here and rotate these. There we go. Rotate these to be central. And rotate these to the side. There. Let's offset them a little bit so they make sense. Press F for the part. And of course we are going to be needing some fuel for that. Now, we don't need much. Let's see, how much does that get? 7.5 versus... It's not worth actually doing that. Let's see if we can maybe just get 2. It does drop our delta V massively, but we don't need that much anyway. Electrical wise, we actually don't need that much either. We could probably get away with 1 solar panel, but let's just get 2 for, there we go, symmetry's sake. And of course we will want a communotron. We don't need much more than this simple one. And finally a computer flight unit so that we can see where we're going. Maybe talk about seeing where we can go. It is worth getting these illuminators up, just because when we're in the, if we happen to be in the dark side of space, the dark side of Kerbal, it's going to be a little bit tricky seeing our craft. So all we need is just a tiny bit of light. Scale these down and let's check. Yeah, see, with lights on, it just lights it up a little bit. That's all I need to make sure I can find it easily in the darkness. Intend to play this on potato difficulty, full trial and error stuff. Oh, no. I used to play it like that, you know, when I was learning. Because then, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Just make something, try it, it doesn't work, revert. Revert is off. Kerbals don't respawn, they die when, you know, they're dead when they die. And put everything up. All the re-entry heating, all the G-forces, everything is at sort of deadly range. Hence, I'm playing this a little bit more safely than I normally would. Okay, this seems good in space. This is our maneuvering in space. So this will help us circularize, this will help us make the encounter. Let's actually focus this on making the encounter. In that case, we could probably do with a smaller fuel tank. Half of this, 800 meters per second. Probably enough to get an encounter going. Yeah. Again, follow the rule, never take more than you need into space. Because the more you put on upper stages, the more you have to keep on pushing around. So, we don't need much. This is misaligned. There we go, that's where those should be. This thing can just be here. That thing can just be here. There we go. 900 delta V. That is more than enough to do our maneuvers in space. Okay. Separatron. Or we don't need a separatron. We need a decoupler over here. Actually, let's do this size. Thank you for that follow. Communotron, sometimes you feel like a commutotron. Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Moving backwards and forwards. Always traveling. Darn it, the silly RCS. Just a little bit too big. Okay, that should be... That is good for an upper stage. Has power. Has light. RCS. Can decouple. Can get back in. Time to check the staging, which is off. There we go. That is good. Now we need to get this into orbit. That will take us 4,000 delta V. So, the usual, you've seen this design before, the standard work, so I'm not gonna spend too much time rehashing what I said about this. Let's go for 3 fins. It's a shame that we haven't unlocked the fuel yet. The fuel lines. Because those would be very useful here. They are misaligned. Should be exactly on that line. Ah well. 3,299. No. That does make me suspect that if we do this... 3,900. Ooh. Close. I think we should be able to do it with this, actually. Because we already had a lot of fuel in that one. More than we need, I believe. So I think we'll be fine. These things, however, will be jiggly. So, let's make sure to get some struts on these babies to stabilize them while we're in flight. Now, talking about stabilization. There we go. Should be good. Vehicle for manned manual. No! I can't think of a good one. Okay, we'll do something else. First aid ship hauler. We will call this the Fish 1 Kerbal Retriever. Haha! Okay, check your staging. We will activate the SRBs with these at the same time, so it lifts off. That's good. Once we're done, we drop them, we fire that one. That's good. When we're in space, we can unlock this, so let's move that up. We cannot move that up. Yeah, we need to unlock this to blast that off. And then when we're done, we unlock that and dump it. Let's double check our items, see if there's nothing we're forgetting, nothing that's obvious that we should need. These, by the way, the EVA items, I love these things. We haven't been able to use them yet. We won't need any life support beyond what's already in the tank. We have plenty to get that Kerbal back. Illuminators. That's what was missing. How could I forget? How could I forget? This is the light we need. These are the lights that will guide us to our ship. Beautiful, I love it. We don't need to get any signs in there as far as I know. Maybe we can get a free little radio antenna signs. Actually, Kerbin, space, near. EVA report, I can get that. Radioplasma and material study. Material study? I mean, we could shrink one down, I think, for more and more cost. But that's so expensive. We can do that another time. This one's easy enough to do. Communication, we have that on there. Electricity, we have those two things on there. Should be okay without a battery pack, I think, but safety first. Reheating, we don't need that. It'll survive. We don't need any landers. We've got our aerodynamics on there. Check. We have our stability. Didn't even need any of these. We have RCS.